Hello, Chad.
Hey, Adrian. I see Piers joined as well, but I saw it was telling me it was still waiting for voice. I know I'm a minute late. It's just this bloody load shedding now. I'm trying to get everything up on the tablet and now I can't find my files folder. So there it is. Hey, Pierre, are you there yet? I don't know if your audio's come up. Okay, so I think, all right. No, that microphone is not going to work. There's no radio connected to it. All right, good evening. A minute late again. Trust everybody as well and all the other good stuff. Let's start with tonight's weekly net. Let's see if anybody is out there. Zoom is also open for those that would like to join. So ZS6IP is standing by for this week's check-ins.
Sierra November Yankee listening with no traffic at the moment.
Okay, let's acknowledge ZS6SNY, ZS6OP, correction, FPS. This is me, OPS. What am I talking about? Sala Pia, hello, Adrian. Let's see if anybody else is out there tonight, even though we are in load shedding. ZS6OP is still standing by. Okay, 1904. ZS6IP is standing by for check-ins. All right, let's make a second last call for check-ins. ZS6IP is standing by. Okay, 1905, last call for check-ins. ZS6IP is standing by. All right, nothing else heard. Let's get started then. Good evening, everybody. Those who wish to join this net using Zoom may do so now as it is open. If you do not have the Zoom link, contact me on WhatsApp 082-859-2684 at 082-859-2684, and I'll send you the link with the greatest of pleasure. So today is Sunday, 21 May 2023. And of course, the time is 1905. We begin the weekly net with the radio amateur check-ins on the Roodepoort repeater 5 minutes before we proceed. The net is broadcast every Sunday evening starting at 1900. and is broadcast for the benefit of radio amateurs, disaster relief service volunteers, and members of the general public, basically any interested parties. Everyone is welcome to participate using either amateur radio, Zoom, or both if you so choose. I'd also like to remind all the amateur radio listeners who have not checked in that you do not need to be a member of any group or club to check in or to use the repeater or any of the amateur radio bands. All that is required from you is that you have a valid amateur radio license issued by ICASA, which automatically grants you the right to use any of the amateur radio bands at any time. There's no need to ask for or be granted permission from anyone else to use the repeaters or the amateur bands. I'd also like to encourage all the listeners and participants to share the Weekly Net Zoom link with everyone they know throughout South Africa. Doing so will help us grow the Weekly Net and will contribute to disseminating information as far as wide as possible. All right, ZS6OP is returning. Now, let's start unpacking the COVID-19 figures. As I have reported in the last couple of weeks, many of the tracking sites have in actual fact closed down, NRCD included. The South African figures are virtually impossible to get hold of at this stage. There's no way of finding them within the respiratory weekly report because they've now put it under some separate category and still haven't been able to figure out who, what, where, when, and how. So I can give you the global figures as reported by the World Health Organization. And as at 5:43 on the 17th of May, we had 766,440,796 cases, compared to last week 765,903,000. This week has seen an increase of 5,307 new cases, 537,000, my apologies, compared to last week's figures of 680,000. So on a week-on-week basis, the numbers are dropping globally. Whether or not it's because of the amount of tests that are being reduced at this stage, I couldn't say. We'll have to see what transpires over the next couple of weeks. Okay, ZS6OPS returning. So our death toll stands at 6,932,591 globally, not 591 globally at least, compared to the 6,927,378. Again, there's a decrease of about 500 cases having been reported or lives lost. This week is 5,200. Last week it was 5,700. So definitely on a decline. Mpox, on the other hand, has also seen quite a major decrease in the number of reported cases. This week we have 87,470 globally, compared to 87,411. It's only an increase of 59 as opposed to last week's 70-odd cases. So that is also good news as far as these diseases and viral infections are concerned. Okay, ZS6OPS returning. We're going to move on to measles. Following the outbreak of measles, and again in the interest of public health, I will be reporting on this. And as at the 19th of May 2023, South Africa has a total of 1,028 cases compared to the 1,008 of the last week. So a total of 20 cases. But I want to tell you yet again, South Africa definitely cannot count table form or in tabular format. 1 + 1 seems to give a figure of -4. So I've had to sort of take a look at what has been reported on a region-by-region basis and come to the conclusion that these are the cases that I will be reporting. And that being said, Limpopo is still sitting at 447 cases, leading the pack, with Northwest at 217 and Gauteng at 176. Now, what's amazing is this week's report showed a total of 1 new case, and that was the Gauteng case. Okay, ZS6 OPS returning. However, we will see what happens next week, because next week that one could become 10, it could become 50. And it's very concerning because this week alone, the Minister of Health actually put out a notification regarding diphtheria. Now, diphtheria, 2 laboratory confirmed cases of toxigenic diphtheria disease were identified in April already. They're only reporting on it now, probably because of the fact that the samples were drawn sometime in April. And, you know, after the cultures and whatever else had been done, the confirmation has only come through now in May. The one case was in the Western Cape, and this was a child that's now infected with diphtheria. And the second one is an adult in KZN. Now, these cases, with regards to these cases, there is a reminder that due to the drop in the vaccine coverage, probably due likely to the pandemic, definitely will lead to more cases. And diphtheria may also be circulating undetected in other provinces at the moment. Treatment in the absence of antitoxin is appropriate antibiotics and supportive care. And of course, the Department of Health has put out a notice that all clinicians throughout the country are urged to have a high index of suspicion of diphtheria, and to notify suspected cases and to send the specimens to the labs for testing. Okay, moving on. Also, with regards to vaccines, there's a shortage, and I know the World Health Organization is trying to source additional vaccines for the countries that are experiencing shortages. So ZS6 OPS returning. Now, in a rather bizarre turn in events, when I wrote the article this morning regarding cholera has actually been reported last on the 30th of March with a total of 10 cases and 1 death. So I just want to finish off on this news, and then I want to read the article that was put out as a matter of urgency that needs to be brought to everybody's attention. So I'm going to come back to cholera in a second. But what I would like to cover at the moment is there's been severe flooding this week in Italy. And teams from the Italian Red Cross are supporting the rescue operations there. The volunteers are doing everything that they can to support affected people by the flood. So it looks like quite extensive flooding has taken place. And of course, that has now become problematic. So now I quickly had to plug my cell phone in because that is running my Zoom for tonight due to the load shedding. And of course, what has happened here is the phone has now gone flat. So that didn't help me much at all. So ZS6 OPS returning. I want to cover the aspect of the cholera. I just need to find the correct article. I'd like to read it, as I believe that this is something that the entire country needs to be made aware of. So just stand by 1 sec while I find this, and I will give you the message now, because this is a definite public health announcement. ZS6 OPS returning. So the report came through quite late last night, funny enough. The headlines in News 24, 10 dead in Gauteng as Health Department warns of diarrheal disease outbreak and, or at least I should say, rising cholera cases. And I'd like to quote from the article. The Health Department urges the public to take precautionary measures as the country experiences an outbreak of diarrheal disease and a rising number of laboratory confirmed cases of cholera. Okay, ZS6IPS returning. For the record and for the recording and for the benefit of radio amateurs, every single one of you that is listening probably sitting there and saying, well, what has this got to do with amateur radio? Well, you know, when it comes to disasters and things like that, this is exactly what radio amateur has as one of its categories. You want to do competitions, that's your prerogative, enjoy it. Leave the rest of us to deal with emergencies and health-related matters. And in the interest of public health, the appeal by the National Health Department to every single person in this country, and that includes radio amateurs, you are not excluded nor are you secluded, should be made aware of these matters in the interest of public health. That could affect you, your friends, your family, and people around you. So let's move on and continue with the quote. From the article published in News 24, 10 dead in Gauteng as Health Department warns of diarrheal disease outbreak, rising cholera cases. We continue. In a statement on Saturday, the department said 10 patients had died after presenting with gastrointestinal symptoms in Hammanskraal, north of Pretoria, over the past few days. It led to more than 95 people receiving medical care at Jubilee Hospital. And I want to tell you, Jubilee Hospital has been on ambulance divert several times in the last 48 hours. Diarrheal disease is a common and often highly infectious condition that affects the stomach and intestines. It is a leading cause of child mortality and morbidity in the world and mostly spreads by contact with an infected person or through contaminated food and drinking. ZS6IPS returning, clearing the timer, or through contaminated food and drinking water sources, the department said. Now take note that this year at this point has not mentioned cholera, and cholera is definitely due to contaminated food and drinking water or contaminated drinking water. According to Health Department spokesman Foster Mahale, people generally become ill 12 to 48 hours after exposure. Some common symptoms include diarrhea, cramps, nausea, vomiting, and low-grade fever. Meanwhile, the department confirmed that the cumulative number of positive cholera cases had increased to 37 following the detection of 4 more cases in Gauteng and 7 cases in Vredefort and Parys areas in the Free State. Members of the public are urged to avoid known or suspected contaminated food, water, and surfaces, and wash hands thoroughly with soap before handling food or after using the bathroom to prevent possible infection. ZS6IPS returning. People should not drink water from unsafe sources, such as rivers, dams, or streams, unless it has been boiled or disinfected. And please don't think that a bottle of bleach or jik is going to disinfect the water, because that was overkill as far as disinfectant is concerned. It's a very, very low dosage of bleach if there's nothing else on hand and if you are not able to boil the water. The department, and I continue with the quote, the department said it would keep the public informed of the developments and findings of the investigation. So for those of you, the radio amateurs who are monitoring, if you would like to be kept informed, I'd like to appeal to you to definitely make contact with me on 082-859-2684 so that I can get you up on a group or two. And that there brings me to the closing of this week's net, where I can say that I'd like to encourage everyone to register as a disaster relief CERT volunteer and to prepare and to train to assist, so that the volunteers can prepare and train to assist local communities when disaster strikes. Let's just do a final call for check-ins and then I'll close. Are there any other radio amateurs out there that haven't called in or checked in yet? ZS6 OPS standing by. Okay, nothing else heard. Fantastic. Let's close off then. I'd like to thank all those who have checked in this week, as well as those who have joined via Zoom. And as the COVID-19 pandemic is still ongoing, and I think I need to extend this now to, due to the diarrheal infections, as well as the diphtheria and measles and cholera, which seems to be affecting us. Please remember, physically distance yourself, wear a mask to protect others, especially the elderly who could lose their lives, even though the numbers are lower. And remember, it is always best to sanitize or wash your hands on a regular basis. This is ZS6 IPS saying be safe, be prepared, and of course, be happy for the week moving forward. ZS6 IPS now releasing the Rudderport repeater for general use. Cheers all. Okay, so somebody keyed in there. I don't know if you wanted to add your name to the list, but go ahead. I'll add you to the list with the greatest of pleasure. ZS6 OPS. I wasn't being keyed out there, was I, RJ? Okay, I think you're on mute.
I said, just repeat the question.
I wasn't being keyed out there, was I?
No, it was just after you released.
Let me just stop this recording and let's hear Piers come up here. Are you there?
I'm here.
All right, there we go. Let me stop.